Hello, everybody. It's Sandra from Inspired Keys, and I am here with another fortnightly members-only worship keys Q&A. So this is a Q&A for worship Inspired Keys Academy members. And I am very excited because I have compiled a list of questions to answer. And these will be answered according to the order in which they were asked over the course of the last 2 weeks. So I just wanted to jump on here real quick and say hi. I'm also about to jump onto a live video inside the Inspired Keys Academy members Facebook group. And from the live video, I am going to be accessing the live chat section. Just a sec. Yep, I'm going live on the Inspired Keys Academy members Facebook group right now. And hello, Inspired Keys Academy members. Hello. Sorry, I know I'm about 2 minutes late. And yep, I am now going to paste the link of the YouTube live video so you can watch it. Yep, guys, I have the YouTube live link in the chat right now. So what's important is you do want to click the YouTube live link as well, because the YouTube live allows me to share screen, so then you can see what I'm playing when I am playing something and demonstrating something. But if not, I will be on the Facebook live chat so that I can see your chat, and I am only accessing the chat from inside the Facebook group only, because this is a members only Q&A session. So this is how it works. Matt Anderson, hello. I see David Franklin's in the house. This is awesome. I'd love to give a shout out if you can hear me, if you can see me well, because I just want to make sure that, we're not like wasting anyone's time. Teresa's in the house. Hello, Teresa. These are all the Inspired Keys Academy members. And thank you for all the likes and hearts and smiley faces. So this is how it works. Basically, Inspired Keys Academy members who are live right now and watching, you are very welcome to pop your question into the live chat inside the Facebook group live chat, not YouTube live, okay? So if you're a general audience watching on YouTube live, I will not be looking at that chat. This is a members only Q&A. But if you want to jump on into the Inspired Keys Academy and join us for the next live Q&A, and you can really just do that for just $1 for 2 weeks. The dollar trial is still going on. Be at inspiredkeys.com/join, and at checkout, use the word, the discount code $trial, and you can join for 2 weeks for $1. Wonderful. So I am actually going to jump right in now to answer my first question. And also, guys, Inspired Keys Academy members, I do realize that for some reason the internet connection is kind of lacking when it comes to YouTube Live. So when I watch the playback replay videos, I'm really not satisfied with the quality. Sometimes it lags when I play stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm actually recording this video on my own screen, and usually the video recorded on my own computer has way better quality. When I play something, it appears on the screen straight away. So this good quality version of today's Q&A replay is going to be available inside the Inspired Keys Academy members area as well. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and type it in. Priority will be given to people who ask questions live, because I do want to reward you for taking your precious time to join us. And by joining us, you are also telling everybody that you're very serious about jumping onto your next level in worship keys playing, and I want to help you get there. So I want to see your questions, and as soon as I see a question, I will reply it when I'm done with my question. So since I don't see any questions yet, I'm going to jump into some of the questions I collected from over the last 2 weeks. And the first question is from Nathan. So Nathan asks, if there is an intro that we can create for the song Eagle's Wings by Hillsong, which is quite an amazing question, because when I was listening to Eagle's Wings, and for all of you who are Christians for a while now, you will probably know what that song is. It's a beautiful, wonderful song. And it's a shocker because there's actually no real intro. It's just kind of like chords, and then it just starts with, yep, Here I am waiting. So it's kind of like, oh, wow, I never knew there was no intro. So Nathan, that was a great question. And so my reply was that I'm thinking of doing this chord progression as an invented intro. So invented just means, I guess you can just make up your own intro. And so I believe the song's in the key of C major. So yeah, I really hope you can hear and see. Okay, wait a minute. I need to go back to my YouTube live now so that I can share the screen. Yay. Okay, so turning on the share screen function, and you should be able to see my keyboard. Yay. Okay, guys, so let me know if you can't see it, but I'm going to go ahead with demonstrating an invented intro for Eagle's Wings. So let's see. This is what I came up with. So something like a... Here I am waiting. Yep, so that's the interesting thing about the song, right? Because it starts on a D minor chord, which is a 2 minor. It needs to have a 6 minor before to prepare the entrance of the D minor. So once again, it was like a C, F over C, C, F over C, C, F over C. So 3 sets of that. And then finally a C and an A minor chord, which then brings to the entrance of the song. So Nathan, I'm just going to do that one more time. And for all of you else who are interested in the intro, so this is a C. Here I am waiting. Yep, so that's how I will do the intro of Eagle's Wings. And yeah, so I really hope that that demonstration was helpful. And yep, so I'm going to just stop the screen share at the moment and just jump onto our Facebook group to see if there are any questions. Okay, great, no questions. I'm going to go ahead with more. Well, thank you so much for letting me know that everything's working well, David. I'm glad you can see and hear everything. I'm going to go on to the next question now. And actually, this is a response to Inspired Keys Academy and Wongo's recording. Now, and Wongo has recently done some incredible stuff. I'm actually going to open a new browser and open the Facebook group in that other browser because I like to load Nwongo's video for just a few seconds. He actually recorded himself play a very groovy recording, and it was really, really cool. So I wanted to play a little bit and also to give some feedback, although I kind of told him it was awesome. So there was very little feedback. I was going to give him
Oh Lord, praises to your name. Oh Lord, oh your name is great and greatly to be praised. I sing praises to your name. Oh Lord, praises to your name. Oh, your name is great and greatly to be praised.
Guys, I mean, seriously, those of you who, even if you're not an Inspired Keys Academy member and you didn't get to see that awesome video that Nwongo recorded, it was just awesome, right? I mean, my response to that was, oh, Nwongo, I wish I attend a church that sings in such a jazzy way because it's just so groovy and gospel-y, and it's just awesome. It's just one of those things that, I don't know, like some cultures just can't really replicate. So we just do things the normal way, if you get what I mean. But what I'll do is I actually want to just share my screen and also maybe just the best value I can offer right now, because Engongo, I thought that was amazing, and you topped it up with also the most jazzy and groovy way of singing. And really, if you play jazzily on the piano but you don't sing it jazzily, then it's just not going to sound great. But you did both very well. So what I'm going to do is I will just kind of play and jam through the session. And I think this is a great song. I sing praises to your name. It's, you can do it in a very boring, old, simple chords way, but you can also do it in a very jazzy way, which because the chord progressions are whole ones, 2 5 1s, 2 5 1s. And if you've done any jazz lessons before, you'll know that jazz chords are made up of a lot of 2 5s, 1s. And also, ENQUIRIES did a fantastic job playing a lot of 7th notes, and I think there were a couple of 9th notes. So basically, jazz chords are all about playing complex chords, where maybe that's where I start sharing the screen, because I want you guys to see what jazz chords are basically built out of. Great, so you should be able to see my screen now. Okay, so that's he's playing the key of C major. So if you know this is like a D minor chord, then jazz chords are made out of notes that are built thirds on top. So you have this normal chord, and then you add a third up on top, and you get a D minor 7, which is now a pretty jazzy chord. And if you want to make things more interesting, even still, you add another third on top. Or you can even, if you dare, sometimes it gets a little bit too messy or too complex, or it just doesn't sound so good anymore. You can add another third on top, or you can even just go even crazier and have a 13. So it's not that you should play it in this shape, because that's just too many notes down a third apart. It just doesn't sound good, but you can reshape the chord so that the chord voicing or the chord shapes changed a little bit. And ENQUIRIES did a fantastic job with "I sing praises to your praises to would I do this chord? When your name is great, yeah, this one. Yeah, so it's kind of like just a jam session, really, where I'm just kind of experimenting the jazz chords I might throw out. Maybe I'll just try a different. I know that ENQUIRIES actually created. His sound wasn't just piano. That was just piano. So I was just playing a whole lot of chords so that the sound couldn't sustain. But if I would have turned up the pad, and I don't even think it was pad that he was using. It was something even cooler. It sounded like a little bit like an organ. But I've got a pad sound. I'm just roll up my pad sound so that I kind of hold the chords a little bit longer. I sing praises to your name, oh Lord, praises to your name, oh Lord, and your name is great and greatly to be praised. I give glory to your name, oh Lord. And here's where my software gets a little bit stuck. I'm staring at it. It's not really, well, it's decided to quit. Sorry, well, I might as well just stop here and restart the software, because if you can't see it, then I might as well not play. Okay, I'm just reloading it, and I'm gonna just start resharing the screen again as soon as it started. I'm not sure why. This Chordy app's amazing, but it has been a little bit unstable, so I probably should give some feedback. Yep, it's on again. I'm just gonna reshare the screen so you guys can see it on YouTube Live. And here we go. Yep. Yeah, something like that. Not the most well-practiced version, as you can see, but I was kind of just doodling away, and Wongo, that was amazing, and I really wish I could sing like you. No, clearly you're not so. Oh wait, hang on, was I? Sorry, I just realized I wasn't sharing the screen. Okay, because I wasn't sharing the screen, I'm just gonna have to do that again. Sorry, I just want to make sure that you guys can see it, because yeah, great. Okay, great. Now I'm sharing the screen. Glory to your name, oh Lord, for your name is great, greatly to be praised. Yeah, something like that. Awesome. Really, really hope that was helpful. And thank you, Anwongo, for sharing such an incredible version of What a Beautiful Song, of this really, you know, it's an old number, but it's done up in such a cool and refreshing way. Great. I don't see any questions on our Facebook chat, so I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, so those of you who are watching on our Facebook group right now, be sure to ask any questions that you have, because I do want to give you guys priority as I answer your questions on the Facebook group chat, live chat as well. Okay, gonna pop on to my next question right now, and the next question is by Teresa. Now, I'm actually gonna have to look up Teresa's post so we can see exactly what she asks. And I'm just searching. Cool. Okay, great. Now, she asked a couple of questions. So the first question was, how do you know what chord progressions match well with each other? I have been memorizing those that I see, like 1-4-5 and 1-5-6-4. But how would you come up with a different chord progression and know that it will work well together? Yeah, so my reply to Teresa in writing, but I'm also explaining a little bit more, is that a whole lot of it is really experimental. I guess when we are a worship keyboardist, we're not actually just a boring old replicate what's on the sheet music kind of people, right? We do have a fair share of being a bit boring in the sense that we have to replicate the songs that we are listening to. So, for example, if we're doing a song by Chris Tomlin, you'll have to listen to the Chris Tomlin recording, and then you have to kind of like analyze exactly what they do. And most of the time, we'll replicate the song as closely as possible, following the same riffs, following the same instrumentation. So, in a sense, we do have a bit of that boring factor. But then there's also the interesting thing about what we do as worship keyboardists and live musicians, really, because we're really live performers, right? We're yeah, you could also record stuff in the studio and have them all kind of what's the word, like well rehearsed and everything, but then when we play live, that's kind of where the magic happens. And so what I feel is that as worship musicians, we need to be really experimental. We can't just kind of go like, okay, I will always do chords 1-4-5 for my free worship, because I guess it's going to be really fluid, and you kind of need to flow with the Holy Spirit. And if if suddenly someone else or the worship leader decides to play a different chord progression, you do need to jump along with it and flow and roll with it. So Teresa, to answer your question, I think the best thing to do is to explore and experiment on your keyboard. And when in doubt, put everything in C major. So if you have to go like, oh no, I need to try a different chord progression. I've never done 1-2-6-5 before. I've only done 1-5-6-4 or 1-4-5. Okay, well, then have a go. Have a go at 1-2-4, 1-2-6-5 and see if it goes well. And then so you kind of go like 1, and then kind of like a 2, and a 6, and then a 5, right? And of course, even your chord shape needs to be done in a very worshipful style, because if you don't do your chord shapes in a worshipful kind of chord voicing, and I'm just sharing my screen again so you guys see what I play, then it won't sound as worship genre ish, right? Terrible English there. It just doesn't sound as worshipy, or it just doesn't have that feel. Okay, so here's like a classical way to play it. Okay. Now that actually, okay, so maybe I'll do it this way, right? And then, right? So that's 1, 2, 6, 5 done in a very classical way. But if you were to put in the everlasting 1 and 5, and also the added 2 notes, okay, and then because of the everlasting 1 and 5 theory, you do want to keep the top line quite stable. So that's why I'm sticking with the top note for the next few notes, for the next few chords. Okay, this is chord 2, and then I have chord 6, and then I have chord 5. Yep. So then you'll be like, hey, 1, 2, 6, 5 sounds pretty good. So a lot of it is experimentation. And Teresa, I know that you do have, there are probably like, I don't know, if you ask a mathematician, you will probably know a couple of billion permutations possible from 6 possible chords. Well, someone do the math. But yeah, there are tons of possibilities to group them together in different order of appearance. So Teresa, have a go and experiment, and you might actually find some really cool ones that you like. If you are the only keyboardist playing in church, then you can really play whatever chords you want when it comes to like free worship moments, or just kind of fluid moments where it's not, where it's sort of between songs, or maybe during prayer time. But if you do have a band, then you want to make sure that everyone's playing the same chord progression together. So if they're playing 1, 4, 5, then you got to make sure you play 1, 4, 5 as well, so that everyone's playing the same thing and it just sounds in sync together. The second question Teresa asks is, what exactly is chord voicing? Is chord voicing the same as chord inversions? Yep. So I want to explain more clearly that chord inversions are very specific. It's chords that go like in different shapes, kind of. So if this is chord 1 or C major, we learned this in, because I kind of grew up with the British way of describing chords. So this is called the root position. And we would call this, like, if this is chord 1, it would be like 1 itself, like a 1A, but you don't have to say the A. So it's just chord 1. Now then that's the first inversion, where you invert the C from, instead of the boring old C at the bottom, you kind of bring it up to there. Okay, so therefore you get this shape. And the first inversion chord is very unique because it has a third at the bottom, interval of a third, 1, 2, 3, and an interval of a fourth on top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a fourth on top. So you do get this first inversion chord. We would call this 1B in the British theory way. And then this is the second inversion, and it's also very unique in that it's a fourth interval at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you do get a third on top. 1, 2, 3. So that's a second inversion. So you have the root, the first, and the second. Of course, if you have a chord that has 4 notes instead of just that one, this one has 3 notes. But if you have something like 4 notes, then you can invert it in 3 different shapes, not just 2. So you get the root, and then if you move the G up, this is the first inversion. This is the second inversion. This is the third inversion before you go back to the root, when you just keep inverting and bringing the lowest up to the top, lowest note to the top. So kind of think of it as like a toy that does that. So I really hope that helps. Now, what's a chord shape? No, sorry. Yes. What was the question again? What exactly is chord voicing? Yeah, so chord voicing is really important because, like, for example, this is a very kind of classical chord voicing. Right? But if I were to voice it like, with the use of the everlasting 1 and 5 on top, and then I also make my chords sort of spread out so that the shape and the voicings just kind of more balanced. If I were to do, for example, there's a C major chord 2 as opposed to this, yeah, but you probably wouldn't like this voicing very much, or maybe this, yeah, just because it's just going to be too low and grumbly and just messy, really. So yeah, noisy even. So chord shapes and voicings are really important. And go ahead and jump into some of the chord courses I have inside the Inspired Keys Academy, so you can learn about what best chord shapes and voicings to use. Thank you so much for your question, Teresa. Really appreciate that. Just jumping onto our chat to see if there are any questions. Cool, yay, Teresa. I'm so glad you just responded there. Wait, Adam, I'm not sure why you sighed. Oh, and Wongo, you joined as well. Hello, great to see so many of you here. Cool. Adam says, okay, thank you for responding. For some reasons, my comments don't always show up. Ah, that's strange. Okay, Adam, I'm sorry if you, oh, Tracy's on too. Thanks. Hi, Tracy. Great to see so many of you. Yeah, so Adam, go ahead and try typing in a few times, I guess. Worst case scenario. Oh, Teresa's on YouTube as well. Worst case scenario, jump onto the YouTube live chat. And then when I see your name and I recognize that you're an Inspired Keys Academy member, I will also say hi and respond to you there if Facebook live chat isn't working, which is very strange. It should. Okay, guys, if you are watching this live, you are very welcome to ask a question in our Academy members only Facebook group chat. I'm going to jump on with the next question. And it is Jared's question. Jared says, does anyone have an example of playing during a prayer time or response time? And it's amazing because I realize lots of people are asking this question about what to play when it's like a quiet moment and very free moment. And that's where things get a little bit more high risk, right? Because you kind of deviate from what's the usual song, and then you don't really know what to play. And I do have a preferred chord progression. I really like chords 1 and 4. So Jared says, would it be possible, what would be a slow chord progression to play? Can you include the inversions if there are any, maybe in the key of G or C? Cool, I'll do both. I'll do both G and C. And I'm gonna go onto my YouTube live and turn on my screen. Here we go. Yeah, you should see my screen right now. So in the key of C, this is the first chord I like to play. So basically the two chords are chords 1 and chord 4. But I don't just play it like that. I play it like, okay, but I like to add the 2. I just think it sounds way better, so I do that. Okay, and then instead of playing a chord 4 like a good old 4, I actually invert it so it becomes a chord 4 second inversion. Okay, so Teresa, we're throwing in some inversions here right now. So, and Jared, you also asked about inversions. So that's technically the second inversion, but this doesn't sound fantastic because the chord voicing and the chord shape isn't fantastic. So I will rearrange it so that the top note's not just an A, but I'll change it to an everlasting 1 and 5. So I have like a 5 and a 1 here. So I'll do this shape. And maybe I can even double that on the 5 on top. So, or maybe I could even just let go of the F at the bottom, right? Let go of that and play the F on top. But I feel like that's a bit too kind of ambiguous because you don't really have enough. It sounds a little bit more like a C chord than an F chord. So I will add in an A here. So instead of a G, I mean, that sounds pretty good too. But if I play an A, it sounds a lot stronger like an F chord. So I will play this. Okay, and you're probably going like, oh dear, like, isn't that going to sound very clashy? When done in this shape, it just doesn't sound so bad. And maybe if you feel like, oh, that's just way too clashy, you could just kind of play, let go of the D halfway, or you could let go of the E halfway, or maybe like a, which is a very significant kind of a lick that people do a lot in pop and rock genres. Okay, and then my next chord will be. So I'm just going to repeat that a few times. And Jared, what I do is, well, ideally you have something that has a pad along with the chord so that it's not just piano. The problem with piano when you play in these kind of like response and alto call moments is that because piano sounds just kind of get softer as you play, you can't really hold it on for a long time. And as a result, you got to keep playing and keep playing to keep the sound going. The problem of that is it might create a very hurried sound. So it would be perfect if you could kind of control your pad and just turn that up so you can have like just ideally pad and piano. So something like I'm just going to play around with some other chord inversions, but still these two chords, chord C and F. Yeah, okay, great. I wanted to explain a little bit of what I was doing. I'm just going to turn the pad down because I feel like with the pad, it just sounds a bit too thick and we can't really hear it clearly. I was actually playing around with a ton of different C and F inversions. So I've actually got here, besides the normal chord C and the chord F second inversion, I was actually doing a chord C first inversion. Right? So this is a C chord, but I have an E bass at bottom. I just love the way this sounds. I love, love, love this chord. I would throw it in anytime I have the chance to. And then I have, so always remember when it comes to chord voicing rules, you want to keep chords as close, the movement of notes as close by as possible. So I wouldn't go from here to, right? So that's just way too much jump from the bottom to the top. So I'll do from like, okay, and I want to keep the next chord really close by, so then I'll move my bass note just up one note, and then I have, right? And then my next, what's the next possible chord I can play to keep like the notes nearby? I'll do a chord 1 second inversion, so something like, right? Because from 4 to, it's just really such a short little distance from the left, from the bass note, it just moves up 1 step, and then I might do a. Yep, so I just love the way that sounds, okay? So it's a 1B, 4, a 1C, and a 4B. So basically that's, once again, it's British jargon. It's the way we say the chord inversions. Or if I say it in like first inversion, second inversion way, I'll go like C first inversion, F third position, because it's still F bass. And I have a C second inversion. And then I have an F first inversion. And what I love about this chord progression is it just sounds like different chord progressions have different kind of moods and emotions and vibes, right? If there's a chord progression with a ton of minor chords, think Hosanna from Hillsong. I think the intros are just very minorish, which just sounds very dark and kind of a little bit gloomy. But this chord progression, because it's not only a bunch of C and Fs, which just sound fantastic and hopeful in itself, but when you have something like a, right, that just sounds incredibly like there is fresh hope and fresh newness and mercies of the Lord are new every morning, you know, that kind of feeling. Like it just feels really joyful and at the same time, just like there's something new and wonderful emerging. So I love to use this chord progression for like, yeah, just prayer time and stuff. And okay, so Jared, I promised that I would do it in the key of G. So I might just have some fun with maybe the same chord progression, but maybe I'll do something different so it's not so boring. So I'll have G major right now. And then I'm really just trying to stick to chords 1 and 4, which in this case will be a G and C, because I want to show you that you don't have to throw in like a ton of chords. I'm really just using 2 chords and I'm just alternating every time, but I'm throwing in different versions and different inversions. Oh my God, versions and inversions. I'm doing different inversions of the chords so that you can see how fun it can be when you just stick to 2 chords, which is really simple, but then you play them around with different inversions and it just sounds so fresh, okay? So Okay, now that was an interesting thing I did. I actually just decided to try and reverse that upward going chord progression that I was talking about. So instead of having a like, whoops, right? I did the other way. So I went like, so instead of on the bass, I went, so I went down. And I'll just do it a little bit more before I move on to the next question. Maybe I'll just do that one more time. So I'll do like, I'll throw a little chord 5 here, which is chord D. I really hope you found that helpful, and thank you so much for asking that question, Jared. Really appreciate it. And so I am going to jump back onto our chat and see if anyone has asked any questions. Oh, cool. I see some stuff happening. Yeah, cool. Adam says it happens to me too, Teresa. I just posted on YouTube. Also, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why Facebook just isn't working. Cool. Okay, so I finally see some questions going on in our YouTube Live, and I'm going to answer Adam's question right now. Adam, thank you so much for trying YouTube Live chat. So Adam asks the question, how many worship songs are led by acoustic guitar strum patterns like Chris Tomlin songs? And how do you play along with them on the keyboard? Second question, do you try to match the strum pattern, or do you do something completely different? Okay, that's a fantastic question. I've kind of just been going in a very instinctive way when I play a very guitarish kind of song. But the general principle is try to play in the same way as much as possible, because that increases the chances of everyone sounding in sync. If you want to do something that is different, you do have to plan it out so that it won't clash with the strum pattern. Okay, so I do have a few ways that I play on the piano that kind of is a little bit like guitar strumming. And because I do know a tiny bit about guitar playing, I learned it from my really good friend Miriam, who was a guitarist. And I kind of just picked it up from the dorm room when we were in uni, believe it or not. So that's like 1,000 years ago. But if I were to play in everything in C major, right, and just turn the pad down so it's just piano sound. So I kind of knows the dum da dum da dum dum da dum da dum, right? So that's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. So that's good for like you are my everything, right? So that's like a very kiddie song, or like basic little simple song. And then there's also the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I were to play something like that, I would be like. Right, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the other way that I know that's a very common kind of strum pattern. And then there's a third way that is kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is. So basically, I'm just hearing what I'm listening to, and then I just kind of emulate the sound. So maybe just to help us along, what I'll do is put on a Chris Tomlin song, and then let's just see if I could just try and replicate the drum pattern. Or Adam, why not this? Because you're watching live right now. If you have a special song, like a specific song that you're kind of trying to figure out how to play on the piano, but it's got tons of acoustic guitar strum patterns like Chris Tomlin songs, why don't you just throw in an example of a Chris Tomlin song right now? And then what I'll do is I'll try to listen to it, and then I could offer some just some ideas on what I will do, and then you could feel free to replicate that for your playing. I will now look at the next. Yeah, okay, so Adam's next question was basically, do you match the strum pattern or do you do something completely different? If I were to do something different, I will probably play something that's not intrusive. So for example, a pad, because a pad sound is just a very kind of like a filler. It fills the atmosphere, it thickens up everything, and it doesn't interfere with what patterns other people are doing. But definitely don't do any of the three strum patterns that I talked about too simultaneously, because it's not going to sound good. It's just going to have too many parts where everyone's accenting at different beats, and then that's where it starts sounding messy. And thank you. Adam has just replied with "Holy is the Lord," and I think I know that one. Holy is it holy is the Lord? Na 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 na. Da, 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 da. I think that one. Okay, hang on. I think I see it. Okay, Chris Tomlin, Holy is the Lord. I'm just going to play a little bit. Cool. Okay, I'm just going to show you how I'll do it. Strange. Okay, hang on a second. This is very strange. Is it me, or is the pitch just a little bit off? It just doesn't sound like it's an A flat. I hear A flat, but it doesn't sound like it jives. So it's kind of like, oh gosh, the pitch is driving me a little bit mad right now. But I'm gonna give it a go anyways. Oh my gosh, sorry, I just can't do this. I'm not sure if this is recording or I'm gonna try a different recording on YouTube. Okay, that's a little bit better. Sorry, that was just so strange. Okay, now we're in the key of B flat. Okay.
We bow down and worship Him now. How great, how awesome is He, and together we sing. Holy is the Lord God Almighty. The earth is filled with His glory. Holy is the Lord God Almighty. The earth is filled with His glory. The earth is filled with His glory.
Okay, great. Yep, so there were a few things that I was doing there, and I really hope you were able to see yeah, I think my screen share is still on. Yep, you should still see. Yep, good, good. I'm so glad that the software hasn't kind of quit on me. Yeah, so it was in the key of B flat major, and what I wanted to say, Adam, is that you really need to listen to what's going on when the drum came in. Right? So the drums came in lightly at the first chorus, and then it came in strongly at the second verse. What I felt was that when the drums came in, it became a very clear 1, 2, and a 3, 4. So on the numbers, which is the main beats of the song, that's when the accents are. But when it was just the solo guitar strumming at the very first verse, I felt like it was quite necessary to match the strum pattern, because the guitar was a hero of the moment, right? So if you do something that was opposing it, it would probably not sound so good, which is why I kind of went like into a. Was it what I did? Okay, I'm just gonna go back to the opening, because I wanted to demonstrate how it would not sound good if you were to play the 1, 2, and a 3, 4, right? That's the kind of groove you would play at when the drums came in. But before the drums came in, I probably wouldn't. So let me just do a bad example, and we'll see how bad it sounds. Okay, so that was the guitar pretty much only, but then I went like 1, 2, and a 3, 4. I felt like it was definitely a kind of like two patterns that are competing for attention, and it didn't really sound so good. So if I have to play piano with the guitar, or actually if there was a choice, I wouldn't, because it would sound fresh just to hear the guitar sound. But let's just say this is a situation where you have to play because maybe it's life group and then you're just kind of playing on your own on the piano and there's no other instrument. Okay, then I would probably either stick to just the 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be nice and easy since there's no one to clash with. I will just play that by myself on the piano. But if I really want to match the guitar, and then I will try to match the way it sounds, which is so it's got a dum 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 kind of feel. So you kind of need to feel that and then translate that into your playing. So that way it really jives together with the guitar. I really hope that helps answers your question. Adam, thank you so much for asking and suggesting that song. Really, really hope that you, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type it in. I'm looking at Tracy's question on YouTube Live. I have downloaded Worship Essentials. Will you suggest a good song to start with using it with main stage? Oh my gosh. Firstly, Tracy, well done to you. Downloading like your first main stage worship template is like a very iconic moment. So well done to you. Gosh, I mean, there are just so many good songs that you can use with Worship Essentials just because it's powerful. I love it just as much as I love Sunday Keys because it's easy to use and it's got all these fancy sounds that you would easily use. I'm actually using Worship Essentials right now as I do this video because I need to power my keyboard with a certain sound. So Worship Essentials is nice and easy. You just slide up and down the pad. It's really straightforward. Gosh, Tracy, there are just like, it's like asking what's your favorite song, because there are just so many wonderful songs that you can try with. How about let's start easy. Let's go for a worship song, not praise, not like a fast with dance rhythms things. That's probably a little bit harder, and you're going to have to explore all the different sounds and the templates and patches. Yep, all the different patches and what they offer. So why don't you pick something nice and easy with like piano and pad, just as it's like a good warm-up song, and then just explore maybe even just the very first patch, which is called where is my main stage? Okay, sorry, I have my worship essential changed everything on my main stage worship essentials because I've renamed them into like piano and EP only. So yeah, just it's a bit different. But piano and pad, yeah, I think that's the first patch, right? I can't remember. Yeah, but just try something easy and just get started. And you're just gonna go from one song to another, and I trust you will love it. And I'm so glad you did it. Well done. Wonderful. Adam, I'm so glad that helped. He says, thank you, Sandra. That sounds nice. Thank you. I really hope that helped. Great. I am not going to respond to questions that are not by the Inspired Keys Academy members. I'm going to jump back into our Facebook live chat. Cool. So David asks, do you think of or form these variations or voicings? I think he's referring to the video I did before, on the fly as you play, or is it more practice before you do the free worship? David, that's a great question. At the moment, what I was doing when I played the inversions and voicings part, I was thinking of them on the fly, but it's not very fair to say that it was on the fly because I have played worship keys for so many years. I kind of have a basic set of things that I always do. It's kind of like, David, you are a preacher, right? Because David is this amazing pastor. And so if he was to go on stage and his mind has a blank, he's probably gonna like just say something amazing, and people will just laugh because he's done it so many times as a preacher, but I haven't. So if you put me on stage now and I have a sermon and I have a mind blank, I might just stare at everybody and make everybody go really awkward. So in the same way, it's kind of like a bag of tricks that you have up your sleeves, and if you need to throw it out, you can just, okay, I know this works, I'm just gonna throw it out. So in the same way, David, it's kind of in my vocabulary bank. I already know that these chords work because I've used it so many times. So in a sense, it's kind of done on the fly, but rehearsed because I've done it for so many years. But Regarding your question on whether to practice before we do the free worship, it is pretty important to practice free worship if you guys plan it in. So let's just say you have 4 songs, right? And then the worship leader goes, guys, I think I really feel like we need to do a free worship moment between songs 3 and 4, for example, which is a very classic place where free worships usually happen. Then you do want to rehearse it as a band, especially if you have a band, right? And really a band is defined as more than one person, and so it includes 2 people. So you do want to go through it because you might want to plan sort of how long to stretch out those chord progressions, and that gives you an idea of how long to build it up from. If it's really short, then you need to build it up real quick. If it's really long, then you do need to spread it out over a long time, and you can't give too much too soon, otherwise you can't really grow, and it's just going to sound too loud, and the climax is just going to get overly too climaxy, and it's just not going to sound great. So David, I will say, if you guys plan to have a free worship moment, it's pretty important to rehearse that together as a band, and also to talk about what chord progressions to use, which includes what chord inversions to use. Great, really, thank you so much for that question. Tracy says, I am getting familiar with, oh, yes, sorry, I'm just repeating your question from Facebook, and I hope you, my answer was at some point helpful. Now, if you have more questions, Tracy, please ask even more. Matt says Revelation song. I'm not sure if I understand what you're asking. Revelation song. Oh, is Matt talking about maybe what's a good song that has a lot of guitar? Revelation song. Is it by Chris Tolman? I don't think so, but okay. Okay, wait. So, Matt, you put in the chat Revelation song, but I wasn't sure what question it was. Did you want me to try and play Revelation song? Were you trying to say that it's a very guitar strummy song? If you could just type it in if you're still watching, then I know what you're trying to ask, and then I could respond more precisely. And that's my baby crying in the background. Whoops. I will attend to him when I'm done with the Q&A. I know someone is caring for him, so I don't have to worry. Great, I'm going ahead with the next question, which is from Sarah. Sarah says, I am sure you would be able to do more interesting things on the melody of the song that she was referring to. Is called Love Story. And Love Story is not from Taylor Swift, although she has a song like that. It is that classic old tune called Love Story, and Sarah doesn't play worship songs, but she says that she would like to find out how I'll play it, what would be my style, and how I will add color to the chords. And I love that question. Adding color to chords is something that I really like, just because I think I get very bored with the same kind of sound all the time. So I'm going to play a recording of just a tiny bit of what Sarah played. You can probably hear it right now. Oh my gosh, sorry, that was very loud. Yeah, so it's that tune, guys. If you're watching this, you're probably like, oh, I know this tune. It's a very common, you know, you hear it in like, what do you call those things when you turn it and it plays that tune? Like, gosh, someone help me with that word that I'm trying to find. And I am now, oh dear, I just noticed that my Cordy has quit on me again. So I'm gonna reopen that. Give me a sec while I load that up real quick. I'm gonna turn on my, cool. Yep, it works now. And I'm just gonna turn on my screen share one more time and you can see what I play. And this is for Sarah. So I now have the pitch that you were wanting me to play. I'm just going to press present to everybody, and that's the second step I need to press. Okay, so Sarah was playing in the key of C major, or more like A minor, because the key of the song really is quite minorish. So now, okay, so Sarah, to answer your question, you started with a very, very high C. I probably won't. Nah, that's a bit too low. I think I'll start with that C, because I think this is the range in which the tune really happens. So what I'll just have a go with the song and just jam it through one time, and let me know if you have any comments. So. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't very familiar with the second part of the song. I know there's a... Okay, I'll just jam through it. Okay, and there we go again. So for a moment, I really feel like I am a hotel lounge pianist, because this is just such a, maybe it's just my style. I just play it in this way. And I do want to say something about this. And also this is to answer the next question that I have, that is for Jean. Jean is a Vietnamese church keyboardist, and he was asking about whether everlasting 1 and 5s can be used in like all songs, right? So the thing about everlasting 1 and 5 is it's a very unique kind of sound that only works on specific genres. And I will say particularly with pop and worship genres, and it has a very contemporary sound. So when it comes to something like Love Story, which is da 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 da, I'm not sure if I will use everlasting 1 and 5. And in this case, the 1 and the 5 will be technically the 6 and the 3 because it's a minor song, in a minor key. But yeah, so I'm about to demonstrate a couple of Vietnamese worship songs. And I feel that because of the way and the cultural, the vibes and the sound of the song, it just doesn't sound like everlasting 1 and 5 is going to match with it very well. So I actually won't do very much everlasting 1 and 5. And for Love Story that I just played, I didn't play with a ton of everlasting 1 and 5 as well. Cool. I am now going to have a look at any more questions. Okay, so, right. Okay, Matt. Yes, Matt says Revelation song for main stage. Yeah, that's a great song. So Tracy, see if you can take up Matt's suggestion and try and play Revelation song. I absolutely love that song. I like it because it's got all these really cool chords that gel really nicely from one to another, but they're very unusual chords and they just sound very repeatable, and it just sounds, I don't know, like it just sounds like heaven to me. Like it's a very ethereal kind of a chord progression. And I don't know why. I just feel specific ways to specific chord progressions. So I'm strange that way. Oh yes, Teresa, thank you. Music box or Jack in the Box. That's right. Yeah, it's, yes, you know, you turn the thing and then you something random but pretty, I guess, relevant. When we were learning about intervals in secondary school, I attended the school called Methodist Girls School, and in the, we used to have these music elective program lessons. So when all the girls went to do cooking and sewing classes, we who took up MEP, music elective program, would go to the music room and we'll just do a ton of music stuff, which is also why I'm such a music geek as I am, because I can't cook or sew very well for this reason. And we used to learn how to identify intervals. Right. So what we would do is, let me just turn on my screen share so you can see what I mean by intervals in case you're not sure what it is. Intervals are just the distance between two notes, right? So we would have specific songs that we associate for various intervals. Okay, so this might be an interesting little experience or learning point for you guys as well. So if you have like a, this is an interval of a third, we would think of something like, I don't know if you guys have the convenience store 7-Eleven, but when you walk into the store, you hear like a hiya, to welcome you into the store. Yep, so that's a major third. Yeah, a major third, right? So we will think of the convenience store ding dong to just remember, okay, that's an interval of a third. And then when you want to learn about the perfect fourth, you would then think of, right? So we wish you a Merry Christmas. And then when you think of that, we an augmented fourth, we would think of the song from Simpsons, which is The Simpsons. Da, 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 right? You would never imagine me playing Simpsons in a Worship Keys live Q&A, can you? And then when you think of a perfect fifth, right, you would think of Twinkle Twinkle. Twinkle Twinkle. So that way you just remember, oh yeah, that sounds like Twinkle, so that's a perfect fifth, because we used to have tests on what's this interval and what's that interval. And then now what about this one? Okay, so that's a minor sixth. And we would think of Love Story when we hear the minor sixth, right? Yep, so that would be the song that we associate with the minor sixth. Can you believe it? So guys, that's just a little snippet of what I went through when I was between 13 and 16 years old. Anyways, I'm going to jump along. I don't see any more. Oh, Tracy, awesome. I'm so glad you love the song too. I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but I'm glad you love the song. Looking through some of the questions, now I don't see any relevant messages in the YouTube live chat, so I'm not going to respond to any of those. I have pretty much one last question. We've gone over an hour right now. My goodness. Our last question is to answer Jean's question. Jean is amazing. I just want to give him a shout out because he is a keyboardist in not just one, but 2 Vietnamese churches. Okay, so I mean, imagine attending 2 churches, guys. Most of us just attend one, and we get really busy from it. He not only attends 2 churches, he plays keys for both churches, and he does it on the same day. So he plays in the morning, on Sunday morning for one church, and Sunday afternoon for the second church, which is amazing. I mean, if you ask me, I get really tired after one gig, and then I have to do, if you have to do 2, I just basically means, it just means I'll go to bed at 9 p.m., you know, like just be really tired. So Jean asks how I will play a ballad song called Lord SKILFULLY, and it's actually a Vietnamese worship song, which means I had to learn it because I definitely don't know any Vietnamese worship songs. And because I am still quite unfamiliar with it, what I will do is I'm going to play the YouTube video and I will jam along to it. And so, Jean, I hope that you will benefit from seeing how I play. And yeah, so Jean then asks the next question along with Loy Thieng. Before I play that, he asks, I also wonder if it's possible to apply your Everlasting 1 and 5 to any ballad song. And here's where I say, Jean, you do have to see if the feel and the genre sounds right, because I mean, I've listened to the Loy Thieng on YouTube before this Q&A, kind of had like 1 or 2 rounds of practice listening to it. I just don't think that it's going to sound very relevant, or I don't think it's going to sound great. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to load Loy Thieng. And for those of you who are interested, I am actually going to type that into the Facebook chat, because isn't it cool, right? Like, guys, it's not just English songs now. It's so many different languages. Okay, cool. I'm going to press play on the YouTube video, and I'm also going to screen share so you guys can see what I play to a Vietnamese worship song. So let me just turn that on again. Share screen. And yep, sharing right now. Okay, here we go, Loy Thieng. Let's load the video. B major.
Tiếng dân Chúa từ trong đáy tim âm thầm, lời cầu xin Chúa những nghe lan tràn, hồn con bay vút về nơi ngàn Chúa nương thân, và uống nó say tình yêu thầm ơi. Từ khi con biết tình yêu Chúa và từ đây biết đời con chúa hồn con sẽ mãi cầu xin tha thiết dân cai cùng chúa con không lo chi đường dài bàn tay con dâng lên cao dâng chúa hết những ý nghĩ dâng chúa cho sáng chúa dắt con đi đời con có như ngày nay con biết con giữa thế giới không có sẽ mãi không trong lần thấy chúa trong
Cool. Guys, I'm so sorry. You can hear the mistakes. There were just a couple of curveballs where the chord just kind of lasts for one beat instead of 3 or 4 as usual. So I know I made some mistakes there. I'm so sorry. But really hope you had a sense of how I played Jean. Really nothing very special, I think. I'm just basically hearing and just trying to replicate it in a rather kind of straightforward way. And yeah, let me know if that was helpful. And if you want me to throw in more random or maybe like more decorative stuff, let me know. I know I definitely didn't do a great job of the fillers. There were quite a few interesting fillers in between. But yeah, that would require me to kind of sit down and listen to it like for a good half an hour and practice. So let me know if you really need that kind of support. So I'm going ahead with the last question that is from Jean. And he says he's trying to do a glissando, okay? And this is a glissando, and he gave me a video to reference. So I'm actually gonna load that video right now, and you guys can hear the way the glissando sounds. Now he was trying to replicate the glissando, but he said that his glissando just didn't sound so good. So I know it's at the 1 minute 48 mark, so I'm just gonna forward that to 1 minute 45. Okay, right. So Jean, what I wanted to say is that when you are trying to do a glissando like that, first up, you must make sure to have a sustain pedal because it is a sustain pedal that really adds the grandeur of the song. So what I'm doing is I will demonstrate that. So if you have a, right, so you've got that glissando going on and that adds a lot of drama. So it's really cool. But another thing that you've got to do besides using the sustain pedal and doing, and you kind of need to kind of just slide it, but not too fast, right? Because if it goes, that just sounds kind of a little bit too rough and uncouth, maybe even interruptive. So you don't want to do that. It should really be a very musical and very conducive kind of climactic gesture, right? Because you're trying to build up to something. That's why you have that upward gesture, the glissando. But you can't have something too light before. If you want to build up to that glissando, you really need to have strong chords. So you can't really have like, right? So that's just too light and gentle. There's no sense of a very dramatic gesture like a glissando. So if you notice at the 1 minute 30 to 40 kind of mark, Jean, the music kind of builds up. Oh, come on. It just quit on me again. Sorry, guys. I need to reload Cordy for like the 3rd time. Sorry. Just a sec. And actually, I'm almost done because Jean's question is the last one. So if you have any other questions, Inspired Keys Academy members, please go ahead and type that into our Facebook group live chat. And if it doesn't work, pop it into the YouTube live chat. Great, so we're on again. Wait, hang on, I need to click that one more button, which I do tend to forget. Great, okay, so we're on again. And basically what I noticed was that the song kind of built up into like a, I'm sorry, let me just change this to, not set on overlay. So right, so then the song just went on as it is, but it needed to build onto a really strong chord 5, which would be the G chord. So and so forth. So that's really important. I think that's the principle that I want you to take away with, that you do need to build up to that climax. You can't just kind of suddenly decide to do the glissando. So great. Looking through, David says, wow, yep, I typed in the title Loy Thieng, and also just making sure that I don't miss any messages. So pretty much, guys, that's all the question I have. Questions I've kind of compiled over the 2 weeks to answer you guys. And I really hope you learned a lot. Thank you so much for joining us. If you did, I really want to applaud you, because I know that you are definitely serious about improving your worship keys, and I hope that this was enlightening in some way. And for you guys who are watching on YouTube, if you want to ask your worship keys questions as well, you are very welcome to join the Inspired Keys Academy. And what you do is you go to inspiredkeys.com/join, and you can try it out for 2 weeks for just $8. Just use the discount code $trial at checkout, and that will allow you to join us for the next live Q&A. And I look forward to answering more questions from you guys. And actually, since we're about to finish, I can't believe it. I meant to say this at the very start, but it's not anything really important. So it's winter in Melbourne, and it's still pretty cold, even though I have hopes that we are nearing the end. And it's crazy because we turn on the heating, but when you turn on heating, it just gets really dry. So what happens, and what's been happening to my fingers last and this week, is that you probably can't see it, but if you look at my finger number 3 in the very corner at this very part, and you probably can't see it because of some really bad lighting, but it just decided to spontaneously crack and bleed. So it's like, oh my gosh, why am I feeling this pain every time I type or every time I play? And then I take a look and I'm like, I am bleeding. And it just kind of bled spontaneously. It just cracked because of the dry air, I guess. It's not so much that the weather is dry, but because the heating's turned on and the air, it becomes dry. So that explains the many mistakes I made in today's playing. And it's just terrible. Like, even when I give piano lessons, I tell my students, look, I have this pain and it's bleeding, and my kids go, oh, and I'm like, I'm sorry, that's why I'm playing all these weird like postures. I tell my students not to like play flat fingers, but sometimes I have to play them flat because they prevent me from pressing on the cracked skin, which is like, I don't know, like needles poking at you every time you depress your finger on the key or on the computer. So I look forward to like not ever having this again, so that I can play better for you guys. And thank you so much for joining us. I really would like to wish you to have a really wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you in our next Q&A session. Thank you, and God bless, guys.